Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a Muscat, or Muscat, from Alsace. This is from Domaine Weinbach, and it's the 2021 vintage of that. The Weinbach estate, I've said in previous vintages, quite historic. It's on the site of an old Capuchin monastery, but now owned by the Fala family. They have a real collection of 5 Grand Cru sites and a number of other named vineyards, such as the Vogelgarten, Altenbourg, and the Clos Capucins. And in all, they have 35 hectares of vines, so they only make wine from vines that they manage themselves. And among Alsace's producers, they have a really good reputation for producing high quality wine, based on a philosophy where they say there are sort of 3. It's a tripod. There are 3 strands to quality: having good terroir, good sites, having old vines, and keeping yields low. As well as that, they have been one of the early introducers, early adopters of organic and biodynamic viticulture in Alsace. So they've been working with biodynamics since 1998, and became entirely biodynamically certified in 2005. So they're certified by Demeter and also by BioGrow for organic wine production. So there's a real quality ethos there. Now, the wine I'm looking at today, as I say, a Muscat. Normally, you would expect Muscat to be sweet. That was the reaction of one of my colleagues when I told him I was doing this video. But actually, in this case, in this case, it's typical for Alsace that these wines are made dry. The wine has 13.5% alcohol, so the sugar that might have been left as residual sugar has been used up. As I say, from their own vines, Muscat, it's a blend of 70% of a variety called Muscat Ottonel, which is actually a Muscat Chasselas crossing, with the balance being made up with what they call Muscat d'Alsace, which is Muscat Blanc Petit Grand, which is the normal quality sweet wine making variety. So we're looking for a dry wine with some lovely fragrant floral aromatics. So there we go. Let's have what else should I say? The wines are handpicked. There's as little intervention as they can in the winery. Fermentation takes place in old oak foudre, large old oak ovals, with the ambient yeasts going on there. I believe there's a certain amount of skin contact goes with this, a short period of skin contact at the beginning or just before fermentation, just to take some of the beautiful aromatics and perhaps some of the phenolics from the skin, just to add weight to the wine, and malolactic conversion will have been prevented, just to preserve the aromatics of the wine there. So, looking at it, you've got quite a rich colour. It's a pale yellow, but that pale yellow seems to have a depth, if that makes any sense. Swirling it, it's not anything particularly showing there on the rim. The aromas, on the other hand, are beautifully lifted. There's almost a sherbety note there. There's a beautiful floral note. You think of Muscat sometimes as having quite grapey notes. This isn't quite to that level, although you can see a sort of a grapiness in the background. They're slightly more lifted and high-toned than that. It's the closest I would put it to is something like a Moscato d'Asti has these very lifted muscati notes on the nose, and this is the same sort of thing in some ways. So let's for taste. I believe the wine's dry, but actually there's a lovely richness to it, an oily richness, almost making it seem sort of slightly like a Gewürztraminer in terms of the sort of lovely rose petal and oily richness texture. There's a lovely intensity to the flavours. The wine isn't exactly huge. The alcohol at 13.5% is giving it a little bit of weight on the mid palate, but it's actually quite fresh, I wouldn't say it was highly acidic, but there's enough acidity to lift the fruit and make that sort of lovely and clean. Again, notes of sherbet, notes of sort of floral perfume on the mid palate. Almost a sort of an apple-ish sort of crunch to it, fresh green apple sort of crunch to it. Yes, and a nice length of flavour as well. Not an enormous weight of flavour, but that sort of slightly oily, slightly rose petal note is carrying on to a reasonable length of finish there. So a nice lighter weight wine for a lunchtime drink, perhaps with a sort of salad dishes, cold meats, that sort of thing, where it's got a lovely lovely freshness and cut and beautiful flavours that would go across sort of simple green flavours as well very nicely. So I hope you find that interesting. Alsace Muscat are well worth considering. The domains of the wines of Domaine Weinbach certainly well worth looking at. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll join us again soon. Bye now.